Hey everybody, Rodman here. Thanks for tuning in to Oxygen Not Included. Little reminder of the scenario settings, rules, and goals. So, picking up where we left off, we had... Let me unpause it. We had added Angelia, our new builder digger. We had just started the liquid aquifer. I'm going to add one more airflow tile. This episode, I wanted to go over... Let's see. I want to do some more exploration and start working on exosuits so that we can have checkpoints. I'd very much like to start processing some of the slime, but in order to do that safely, and I'm taking, let me be clear, I'm taking probably what amounts to be unnecessary caution, but I don't care. I'm happy to take unnecessary caution. So, I'll explain slime. The way slime lung works is once you touch slime that has slime lung on it, it gets on you. Everything you touch thereafter gets slime lung as well. Generally speaking, slime lung is not too dangerous to a duplicant, but it will cause them to become sick once they have enough of it on them, once they've been exposed long enough. Before I go into that, I wanted to go over the liquefiables storage bin. I am limiting its maximum capacity so that when it all melts, I don't, it doesn't spill over everywhere. The great splash, or whatever you want to call it. So, I am going to, let's just limit it to 6, I'll even do 5,000 kilograms of storage. And then I'm going to definitely keep this switch inactive. The reason why this pipe broke before is that, and this will be a little confusing at first, but basically what happened was the polluted water that we sucked up in here, when cleaned, was below the freezing temperature of normal water. Polluted water has a different freezing temperature. So if you take a look here, freezing point for water here is negative 0.6 C or 30.8 Fahrenheit. For polluted water, as you can see, the freezing point is dramatically different. So what ended up happening was the polluted water melted because it melts at a different temperature. And then when it is cleaned, it goes back to ice, broke the pipe. That's sort of that's pretty much what happened. Alright, so back to slime. So, ways to kill slime. Slime, when it's stored, will, unless the atmosphere is pressurized beyond 1.7 kilograms. Ooh. Oh, you're fine. Unless it's pressurized, the atmosphere is pressurized, it will outgas to polluted oxygen so that these, slime lung can spread. It will be killed by chlorine. What would be ideal is to have an atmosphere of chlorine that is pressurized so that we can keep the slime in there and not have any sort of issues. I don't think I'm going to be keeping in this chamber. I think what I'll be doing is building a unified exosuit checkpoint. And I'm not going to explain what that is until I have exosuits. Because, it's not going to make a whole lot of sense unless I do indeed have exosuits. Another thing I'm going to need to do is to set up my storages here so that we allow for industrial ingredients like reed fiber. Copy that setting and paste it across. Now, I realize that thimble reeds, they suck up an extraordinary amount of polluted water. So I'm not planning on planting too many of them. I'm planning on only really having 2. Eventually, we'll get our reeds from probably dreckos, if we're ranching. And that's another thing that I wanted to build this episode, is a proper ranch. So I'm going to get working on that as well. What I'll probably do is to construct the ranch. Now, here's the issue, I guess, is I should point out first. we are penned in by an extraordinary amount of slime in the slime biomes, which is one of the reasons why I wanted to get to a point where I can deal with all the slime buildup. Yep. But what precious scant room I do have left, I want to make sure that I've set it up so that, you know, it is utilized to store and process the slime so that we can expand into those territories. Right here, what I'm doing is I'm building in a little lip here. This was Nick's suggestion. This coal biome eventually will leak, and I don't really want it spilling all the way down to these aquifers here, or into my well. So instead, I'm going to build a little lip. It will increase travel time, but it will prevent the instances of potential polluted water spilling into my everything. So now we do have, if I go to, let's see, if I go to industrial ingredient, I do start to get some reed fibers. There's, I guess I'm currently hauling some more. So reed fibers are going to be able to be used for exosuit construction, among other things. You can also, on the textile loom, turn it into clothing, which can... There's 3 types of clothing. There's clothing that protects you from cold, clothing that protects you from heat, and clothing that just makes you look better. There's snazzy clothing. But I'm not that worried about clothing right now, as the reed fibers are a precious resource until I have the ability to make more of them more easily. So instead, I am going to focus on the Exoforge. The Exosuit Forge. So the Exosuit Forge, I'm putting down here with the Rock Crusher. It generates heat, and I don't really want that heat introduced into the base for any reason. I'd rather just keep the heat, you know, well outside the base. Because we already starting to build up some hot spots. So these 2 hydroponic farm tiles here that I left are not for thimbleweeds. They're actually just for, you know, some additional wheezeworts. Right here is an anti-entropy thermonullifier. I spoke about this a little bit in one of the past episodes. You pump hydrogen through it and it generates cold. It's probably not something I need to utilize immediately, but it is something that will be useful in the long run, for sure. So once I get my exosuits, the exosuit allows a duplicant to be protected from an external environment, meaning that all these long-haul mining runs, one of the issues that I have here is we go all the way out to places like here where we have to hold our breath. And in the process of holding our breath, there will be a lot of commuting, because what ends up happening is we then have to get to a spot with oxygen. Now, fortunately, right, there is a pocket of oxygen right here, which I can utilize as like a breathing point. But a lot of these guys, what they'll have to do is they'll have to run back and forth and back and forth. It's very tiring and exhausting. It's kind of a waste of their time. And the exosuits allows them to, you know, obviously breathe the oxygen that is included inside of their suits, which is very, very helpful to make sure that they don't, you know, that they're remaining productive. So one of the reasons why I'm trying to utilize this water first is this is very valuable real estate in terms of base expansion. This spot would be, you know, it's one of the only spots that I'm not penned in by slime. As you can see here, if I go to the materials overlay, slime is this green stuff. If I go to organic, you can kind of see where the slime is. This darker green is slime, and as you can see, there's slime just about everywhere around me. I mean, there's no slime here, but this is kind of far from the base. I still may use it, but there's slime kind of everywhere. So if I can start to remove the slime from slime biomes in a safe manner and store it where it is killed, the slime lung is killed, there's nothing inherently wrong with slime. It's just the slime lung in it that gets people sick. These thimbleweeds here have a internal body temperature that they want, and I'm a little worried about it getting too hot here, so I'm going to put some wheezeworts to cool it down. But as you can see, the wheezeworts here are starting to make the area around them quite cool. In fact, I'm going to uproot this wheezewort and move it away from my liquefiable bin because it's helping to keep the liquefiables frozen. Not that much, but it is lowering the temperature around it enough that it is, you know, somewhat problematic. Alright, so I'm going to put in a planter box here to put a wheezewort here. The grill and the refrigerator do generate heat. I might want to put a wheezewort in the middle of my farm if the temperature in the farm starts to climb. Wheezeworts are just really good. Think of them as like, you know, like fans that do a little bit of cooling as well. They're not going to be your HVAC. They're not going to be your AC system for your entire base, but they do help a little with regulating temperatures. So here we have some of the polluted water melting, but I'm not going to pump that up until it generates some additional heat. So the other thing I said I would do is to set up a ranch. So this room here, I'm not really sure exactly where I want to put my ranch. I haven't like planned it out in that way. These areas wouldn't be terrible, but I think the ranch has to go up, not down. And the ranch can be off to the side. It shouldn't be near any sources of extreme heat, though, because most creatures are pretty sensitive to temperature. They're not going to appreciate being cooked, in other words. Oh, another thing that I need to do is to do an excursion for coal. I'm a little bit low on coal, so any coal that I can grab and utilize would be very, very, very helpful in the long run. All of these hatches that I'll be able to ranch soon will help generate some coal for me. But until I have them with a proper rancher, you know, I'm sort of stuck only getting the coal that exists on the natural map tiles. I forget exactly what the distance is for the cots, but it's something like that. Alright, so I'll just put the ranch here for now. I don't really have a better spot for it. I'm going to set up the ranch very much in the same way I set up my farms. Critters like to have spacious accommodations. So, how many across is this? 1, 2, 3, 4. 13. Oh, lucky 13. And I'll probably want multiple ranches. One for hatches if I'm trying to actually generate all the coal I need for my little colony here, and then another for other animals. And different animals have different requirements. So hatches don't eat what dreckos eat, for instance. They have obviously different food requirements. The sort of hacky way I decided to... Let's go up to 45. Decided to set up the water drip here is just a valve that only drips water out slowly, so that we don't get a backup. Oh, Angelia. Yeah, we never built your bed. I am sorry about that. All right, new printifiable. So, oxfern seeds, they are sort of like wheezeworts, but what they do is they breathe in CO2 and they breathe out oxygen. They're kind of nice to have. We do have a ranching option here, but not one I'm going to necessarily take. Good character, but I'm going to go with the oxfern. So what oxfern is particularly used for is to just convert very, very, very slowly, but to convert an area's carbon dioxide into oxygen. So I could put like, I could put like an oxfern here and see if I could slowly convert the CO2. I don't actually want to convert that CO2 over, but that's what it could be used for. What it's ideally used for is sort of far-flung spots that need a little bit of oxygen here and there. It has more uses later on, in my opinion. But it's still pretty good to supplement anyway. So what we could do is, I'll just set the oxfern up here, as our carbon dioxide usually drips into this pit, this CO2 pit. I'll have the oxfern, I'll put that a little bit lower actually. I'll have the oxfern ready to convert some of it without the use of power and water. So a carbon skimmer can be used to destroy a lot of heat as well. I'm not currently using it for that in that way, but when polluted water goes through a water sieve, it destroys the heat. Usually, I mean, unless it's really cold polluted water, but it tends to significantly destroy heat. So that's another way you could do it, is if you had, let's say you had a CO2 geyser or something like that, you could purposefully use your carbon skimmer to generate polluted water with very, 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 very hot water, like this geyser water, to run it through a sieve, bring it back down to manageable temperatures, and yeah, you could, you could game the system in that way. Not an exploit, just a feature. There are some exploits that I don't intend to use in this game, but I don't necessarily consider that one all that exploitative. So now we have several resorts set up around the base. Let's get that oxfern down, and then we'll go back to ranching. So unlike almost all the other buildings I have, I'm going to keep these doors closed so that the animals don't just wander off. What we're going to want is a grooming station. And a grooming station allows a rancher to sort of domesticate, or tame, I think is probably a better term, the animals that they are going to be ranching. Oh, Dennis, you are now a Masterworks decorator. I could definitely use some Masterworks decoration. That'd be good. And then we'll also want a critter feeder, which, and maybe a critter drop-off point. Critter feeder, oh, maybe not made of gold amalgam. Is this gold amalgam? Yeah. Alright, let's break that down. I don't necessarily want to use my gold in this way. I know I'm going to have a lot more gold in the long run. Shearing stations aren't really all that necessary unless I have dreckos, mind you. So critter drop-off in copper. And critter feeder in copper. So feeder allows you to basically, it's sort of like a trough that you designate food for the animals that you are currently ranching. Okay, good. You self-assigned. At this point, I could really use some additional copper. We are very copper poor in this colony. If you go to materials overlay and go to metals, here's you can see the red is where copper is. I just really, really did not get a lot of copper on this spawn. This is iron. Iron's fine too, to use iron, but I am very copper poor. It is kind of remarkable. How rough that can be for a start. But of course, this is a random start, and I didn't know what I was going to get, and I still don't. I haven't explored enough to, you know, I don't have the map revealed for myself. And we could just set up another ranch right over here as well if we wanted, which is probably what I'm going to do. But let's get these this set up. And then, of course, we've got Copious Free Time, who's going to become our rancher once skills level up. So one of the advantages of the beauty stuff is you end up gaining morale for your duplicates. They become happier. You don't necessarily need to put them everywhere, but it's a pretty cheap way to perk guys up. And positive mood boosts can be very, very, very helpful in allowing them to be more productive. A lot of the times when they're happy, they'll move faster, you know, or something like that. They will be more productive in that way. All right, so here's the critter drop-off, and we're going to say hatches and hatchlings come here. And then the critter feeder. So if you check a hatch, and you look at their diet, they eat sandstone, crushed rock, dirt, so on and so forth. So what we want to be doing is to put in something that they eat right now. So if I click hatch and hatchling, it will set up what they are allowed to eat. And then what I can go do is just go through it. Or rather, I think the easier thing to do would be to go through it and just only pick the things I want them to eat. Like sand or sandstone. Because I have that in high quantities, whereas I don't so much have bristleberries in high quantities. I would, you know, it'd be unnecessarily expensive to feed a bunch of hatches, you know, some high priority berries. And then another thing I want to do is to sweep up the room so that they're not going to be eating the gold amalgam or whatever. You know, it's limiting what food they have access to. So back to this Exosuit forge. I need to process a little bit more copper for this. The rock crusher is less efficient than the smelter, but, you know, it is the way it is. So if I look at the decor overlay, I am also going to do a force sweep around the beds, just to have the beds be a little bit nicer looking. And there's a lot of other types of decorations that we can set up. Like hanging pots and flower pots. that would be, you know, if I set up granite flower pots around here, they're going to be happier for it. And we can put in buddy buds or briar or something. It's not all that necessary, but I'd like to get a positive, you know, morale boost if I can. Alright, so Dennis Keith currently doesn't have the priority to do a whole lot of decoration. So I'm going to have him forcibly decorate. Because once these are completed artworks, you know, they'll provide the benefits that we need. And I could definitely move these cots around for the loud sleepers to be a lot closer if I wanted to. I'm not sweating it that much, but that's something I could do as well. Alright, so we got that copper, which is good. And there's other little pockets of copper, but that was kind of the nicest trough of copper. If I hit this copper here, actually this copper already has slime lung on it, so I don't want to mine it up unless I'm ready to deal with that. And here, as you can see, Dennis Keith is shaping these granite blocks into artwork. And if I check the decor overlay, the decor around them will go up. And as a result, duplicants will become happier when they're, you know, working around the areas that are high positive decor. Okay, I have just enough for one exosuit. What I need to do here is to make sure that the rock crusher and the exosuit forge are not running at the same time, because I don't really have a power grid to be able to supply both of them. Yeah, I'm not really at the point yet that I can supply power to heavy, you know, power requiring fabrication devices like this. So, you know, if you take a look at the energy required, we can see that the rock crusher consumes a lot of power, and when other things are currently running, it will have to be idle, which is why you see sine curve here crushing some rock and then stopping, and it's because there is not power left over. Another way to see it is just look at the power load. So when other things are pumping, for instance, like this liquid pump, once this liquid pump is done, I get to reclaim about 240 watts. But we have a lot of little devices everywhere that are generating power, or that are not generating power, that are drawing power. And it's going to be really important for me to make sure to shore up my power grid. So once we crush all that copper, I'll set up the exosuit forge. And we have a duplicant skill, copious free time, picking up ranching, and then blueprint, Weaseworts. Because as much as I want a full-time dedicated rancher, you know, Weaseworts are going to be pretty important for me to obtain. And let's take a look at the temperature overlay. I'm going to put a Weasewort here to cool this spot down. And that's pretty much what I'm going to be using my Weasel Warts for, is just like spot checks. And there also seems to be one more reed seed. Oh no, I was wrong. It looked like there was a reed seed, but there wasn't. So at this point, if we take a look at the decor, we have very, very, very high decor in this barracks. It's not a bedroom yet, but it's going to help to make people happier. Now, of course, the decor really matters where they work. So if we had a researcher going, they'd be very, very happy researching in this very pretty area. The kitchen's pretty attractive as well. Alright, so now we have all that copper crushed. We'll start to queue up the Exosuit forge construction. You know, I'm not sure I want to store sleet wheat grain there, but oh well. And here, copious free time is delivering. So actually, at this point, priorities. Copious free time. I want you not even worrying about cooking, farming, operating. I want you ranching as the top priority. And then what I need to do is to do capture critters. And I need to queue up my hatches to be captured. Wherever they are. Some of them just do big old drag boxes. Some of them are going to be subterranean. They burrow. But they won't burrow once they're in my farm. So if we take a look at the room overlay, the maximum size is 96. We're at 91. So we could have it be a little bit larger, but that's about the maximum size that our ranch wants to be. And this other one's going to be for drecklets. Now for drecklets, or dreckos rather, if you take a look, they only graze on live mealwood plants. So what I'm going to need to do is to put live mealwood plants in there. I could do it like that. Because we're going to want space for the critter feeder, the drop-off, and the grooming station as well. But that's a lot of plants. Mealwood, if you take a look at some wild mealwood, as you can see, they really only care about body temperature, atmosphere, and air pressure. I will need to fertilize them, but they don't need light. And here is our first ranched hatch. Now this one is wild. But eventually what will happen is our rancher will... Oh, and as you can see, they're already excreting coal. They're kind of like, you know, Futurama. Nibbler from Futurama, who pooped out, like, antimatter. I mean, this is a lesser version. They're pooping out coal, but still, they eat whatever they want to eat, basically. They have a very wide diet, and then they poop out fuel. Sort of the same concept here. Alright, so the same way I want to do critter drop-offs. And actually, I don't need a critter feeder here, so let me fix this. Because they eat only live mealwood seed, or mealwood, I don't need to feed them from a feeder, if this is only a drecko farm. So that means a grooming station and just the critter drop-off. And now I can... What is going on with you? Oh, there you are. Now I can ranch that drecko, and we'll say dreckos and drecklets go here. So these little guys, these little hatches that I have so far, they're going to help to convert sand and whatever else to coal. Because if I take a look at my, you know, I have 96 tons of sand. Let me collapse some of these. I have 96 tons of sand, but 13 tons of coal. And the hatches will help to convert. So I do have an exosuit now. But I haven't set up the, like, a exosuit checkpoint. I would need oxygen pumps and everything. I would need a lot more than I currently have for that. But at this point here, our first aquifer has been sufficiently tapped and stored. So I am going to break this down, mop up the remaining water, and I may also want another smart battery down here, because during the night when we're sleeping, we are running out of power. But as you can see, oh, we have a hatch down here as well. But as you can see, our coal amount, due to purposefully mining some up around here, for instance, or just ranching the hatches, has been going up. Positive effect. Alright, so these grooming stations... Oh, you know what I'm going to need for the the drecko? I totally forgot. I'm going to need a shearing station as well. There. And this is going to require power. Whoa, I have no power cables around here? Okay, I'll run it over like that. So when the drecko is, the drecko will slowly grow back. Think like a sheep, lamb, whatever. Will grow back its coat, and we can shear the coat for fibers. So it's another alternative way to thimblereeds to gain your fibers. Because thimblereeds drink so much polluted water, in some ways it's just a lot more affordable to get your reeds from, you know, animal capture and ranching. Oh, perfect. You can see our catch basin here working. We wanted to make sure that we had a catch basin for the water that might drain out here, and it worked. Looks like we have another Wheezewort. So here you can see the effect of liquefiables melting. It's generating cold, and one of the reasons why I have my liquefiable melt situated where it is here is it combats the extraordinary heat that is generated from this geyser here. You know, because I can't... Actually, that's not true. I can shut down this geyser. So if I boxed it in, it would eventually run out of space to put water, and it would become inactive. So if I really wanted to stop the heat that it was generating, I could. And this is true for any geyser. You know, my chlorine geyser, or gas vent right here, has been shut down already. But then you have to make the judgment call, do I want fresh water with the added, you know, penalty of heat, or do I want a little less heat and no water? So, for now, I'm going to let that geyser roll. It's just I don't have a way to deal with the heat just yet. However, there is a anti-entropy thermal nullifier right next to the geyser, so chances are I'm going to use the nullifier to nullify the heat in this water and then use it. Alright, I think if I switch this, it might break my pipes. Yeah, because that's pretty ice-cold water. That is going to... No, it didn't. Alright, let me try to pump that out. But I'm also going to want to increase the flow rate here. Let's do to 75, because we are getting a backup of sewage. Our showers are now output pipe full. So I'm actually going to shut down the pipe, the pump, and process some of my backlog sewage here. Yeah, I'll set it up to 150. And we have a new printable. Another wart seed. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I guess that's the other... I didn't mention it, but that's the other way to get wheezeworts, is just be offered seeds over and over and over. And this is what a sheared drecko looks like. As you can see, there's the reed fibers from us shearing it, and it's, you know, shaved rump. There isn't an equivalent for hatches. Dreckos are the only things that get sheared. So up here, there was, I have a little catch basin trough here. I am going to go right through this slime biome. There doesn't seem to be any slime in my way, just to see what's above it. Now, of course, it's full of polluted oxygen and carbon dioxide, and it's kind of nasty. But yeah, I'm interested to continue exploration. And then I also have to decide where my Exosuit checkpoint will be. I haven't honestly thought about that, but that might be for next episode. But if I take a look at another Exosuit, I have all the reed fibers I need. I'm going to want more, so actually let me process 20 more copper. It's kind of a lot of copper, and I'm going to have to go searching for more as well. But I want to start to amass refined copper for additional exosuits. It's going to be helpful to have more than one exosuit, so that more than one... And for my colony here, I would want at least two, one for each builder miner, because the majority of what your exosuits will be used for is for your duplicants traveling outside your base to do building and mining. So that's the primary use of an exosuit. There are other uses, of course. So let's take a look at decor. So the decor here in this bedroom is a lot better than this bedroom. I could probably fix that, but just let's see, slapping down a marble block between these beds. And these aren't where my beds are permanently going to be. Eventually I'm going to have proper bedrooms and not just dormitories, not just barracks. But then another one of the benefits is the buddy buds here give off the same sort of floral scent that my bristle blossoms do. So if we check germs, as you can see, there are pink germs all over where we have planted the buddy buds. This makes people happy unless you're, of course, allergic. But I wouldn't accept someone that was allergic. So over the course of time, these hatches are going to be groomed, and then some of them are going to be tamed. And the difference between tamed and groomed is like the reproduction rates and things like that go up when they're happy and tamed. And all they really need is attention and space and food. Most of the animals you interact with, as long as their atmosphere, you know, they have some very basic requirements, but it is pretty easy to keep them happy. Pretty easy. Now we have meal ice, meal wood. I am going to disable auto harvest because I don't want my farmer I don't want my farmers to bother auto-harvesting here. I could have also just lowered, I could just lower the priority. So, that doesn't look like disabled auto-harvest to me. They just immediately mine it up. Alright, so all of the plants are now disabled auto-harvest. And this allows the drecko to have a food source that isn't constantly, for lack of a better term, stolen by miners. Well, guys, that is about all the time I have. So, next episode, I'm likely to try to pick out where my Exosuit forge, or my Exosuit checkpoints are going to be. With the hopes of developing a system to deal with slime, so that I can remove the slime from my neighboring areas and have a lot more room to expand, grow, and explore. If you have any feedback for me, do drop me a line in the comments below. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'll catch you all next episode. Adios, friends.